So this is considered one of Sony's dream machines, the Sony SL-HF1000. In this review, I'm not going to go through every feature because that would take over an hour, but I want to go through some of the really standout features which I consider to set this deck apart from the other betas. One of the first things that really stands out is the sheer weight of this thing. In moving this from one room to the other, it's like picking up a bag of bricks. I don't care how much they say this weighs, multiply it by 5. It is a beast. It is a really heavy, dense machine. This deck can record in the Super Beta format, which increases the resolution of regular beta from 240 lines to 280 lines. Personally, I use beta decks to master my video productions back in the 80s because beta was reported to have a better picture quality than VHS for making copies. The advantage of the Super Beta format is that it just uses regular Betamax tape. There's no special tape formulation that's required for Super Beta. Pressing the record mode on the tray cycles between Beta 1, 2, and 3. Beta 1 was used on some of the older industrial decks, but was dropped until this deck came out when Sony reintroduced the faster speed, which means for slightly better picture quality, and they also upped the luminance and called it Beta 1 Super High Band. So in this video, we're going to take a look and see, can you really see a difference in editing with the Beta Super 1 High Band? So as for the setup for this test, I used a Sony TR940 camcorder, but I used a regular 8mm tape. So the camcorder would be forced into regular 8, not high 8. First, I want you to see the raw footage out of the camera. This is from the TR940 camcorder recorded into the computer via FireWire. I have a Sony Digital 8 deck which has a FireWire output, and that was used to capture the footage into the computer. When I started taping with the beta deck, I noticed that there were a lot of dropouts and that really looked ugly. So it was an older tape, so I decided to break out a brand new tape, which was a good idea because it looked a lot better. So be careful when using these older tapes, they really do degrade. So now we're going to compare the Super Beta Speed 2 copy to the original, and you can see the difference and what you're losing when you make the copy. Here's the Super Beta 2. Take a close look, and this is the original. What I can see is a little more noise in the beta copy, maybe a slight reduction in resolution, but it's a pretty good, genuine copy, very close to the original. But pay attention to the grass, the noise in the grass, and in the original it's a little cleaner. It might be a little difficult to pick up on YouTube. Here's the Super Beta 2 speed compared to the new Super Beta 1 high band speed. And let's see if we can see a difference going back and forth between the standard 2 speed to the improved 1S. And wow, it's very, very close. I was really struggling to see a difference either in noise or resolution, and they are really close. And Mr. Betamax, who is the authority on beta, it says you really need a large screen TV to really pick up a difference, and I think that that's right. So let's turn off the Super Beta switch and record in regular beta. Now here is the Super Beta best recording speed compared to regular beta 2-speed. And here you can clearly see a difference. Again, here's the super beta high band speed and regular beta 2-speed. And just for giggles, let's compare the best super beta speed to the worst super beta speed, which is super beta 3. And here you can see a tremendous difference. Much sharper, much cleaner. The super beta 3 speed is just noisy and messy and ugly. What about how super beta compares to regular VHS? Well, let's take a look. And what I noticed is a big difference in the noise pattern pickup, whereas the super beta 1S almost has the noise more controlled, and the VHS noise is just more sparkly and louder, and to me looks a little uglier. The VHS almost looks a little sharper maybe. You can change the sharpness in the Sony deck if you wanted to approximate that by turning that wheel, but I wouldn't go too far. Another feature worth paying attention to is the edit switch. By pressing that button, the edit light comes on. I set up a test chart which I recorded and then dubbed onto the SL-HF1000. With the edit switch off, it was very noisy. I could see a lot of noise and color distortion, but once you switch it on, it really cleans it up. So if you're making copies, really consider using that edit switch. In addition to all the video and editing features, Sony talks about audio and their beta hi-fi, and they tout that in their advertisements.
At last, a VCR that, hooked up to your stereo system, transforms the home video experience into the home theater experience.
There are a lot of highlights and features to this deck, but the one that really is professional and stands out is the insert editing capabilities. This deck offered video insert and audio insert capability. Let's look at an example of how this might be used. You see, I think one of our biggest problems is we don't spend enough time talking about flowers. If there were no flowers, what would bees do? Yeah, they'd have more time to sting us, wouldn't they? What would we give our girlfriends on Valentine's Day? You see, you don't think about this and you don't realize the importance that flowers have in our society today. So to make this interview more interesting, what if we insert this video of a flower where I'm talking so it cuts away to the flower? In order to do that, you just cue up the scene with the flower on your playback deck. You hit pause on the SL-HF1000 where you want to insert it. You hit the video insert button and a V comes up and you're ready to go. You see, I think one of our biggest problems is we don't spend enough time talking about flowers. If there were no flowers, what would bees do? Yeah, they'd have more time to sting us, wouldn't they? What would we give our girlfriends on Valentine's Day? You see, you don't think about this and you don't realize the importance that flowers have in our society today. You have to pay attention where your audio monitor switch is set. If it's set to beta hi-fi, you're going to have this kind of problem. Talking about flowers. If there were no flowers, what would bees do? Yeah, they'd have more time to sting us, wouldn't they? Think about this and you don't realize. When you do a video insert, it also inserts a new beta hi-fi track as well, so that's why it has to be in the normal position in order for you to just hear the normal audio. Now the deck also has a microphone jack for audio narration. I took out a couple of lavalier mics that I use all the time, and for some reason, I couldn't get a signal. Test, 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 test. They didn't work. No sound was being recorded. The audio monitors didn't move. I took out a really old Sony mic from the 70s, and yes, that one did work. I think the lav mics just weren't producing enough of a signal or voltage to register in the deck. To set up an audio insert, just pause the deck and hit the Insert Audio button. You'll see an A come on, and then start your narration. This is a very cute baby named Max. Max was born in January 13th, 1978, and he grew up really, really slowly because this is 1991 and he's still a baby. This is a very cute baby named Max. Max was born in January 13th, 1978, and he grew up really, really slowly because this is 1991 and he's still a baby. As with the video insert, you have to pay attention to where your audio monitor switch is set. And in this case, if it's set to beta hi-fi, you'll just hear the original track. If it's set to normal, you'll just hear the narration. So that's why you have to set it to the middle so you'll hear a mixture of both. If you had two SL-HF1000s connected via certain special cables, you can do pre-roll editing and very accurate assemble editing as well. Another professional feature of this deck is the on-screen display frame counter. Yes, you can see exact frames, but it took me a while to figure out. You have to use the monitor out, not the regular video out, or else it won't show up on your screen. There is a very rudimentary character generator this deck has, but man, it's really difficult and really cumbersome to use, and the end result is kind of, well, very 80s-ish. The remote control itself is quite impressive. There is a jog wheel right on the remote, and just about every function that the deck can do is duplicated on this remote control. With the jog wheels, you can scan the tape in forward or reverse, and it also offers two different slow motion speeds in addition to still frame. You can see the slow motion isn't perfect. There's a little bit of noise and a little bit of jitter, but it's still not bad. It's 1/5 and also 1/10 speed slow motion. So we all know the story of the beta war, beta versus VHS back in the 80s. We know who won and who lost. So why are some people still buying this for $750 on eBay? Why are there beta groups online? Why do these decks still have such a following? I mean, it is a defunct format. I think there's a few reasons. The first is, well, this is really a hell of a constructed deck. I mean, it's beautiful. The lights, the controls, there's something very appealing about it, just the sounds. But in addition to that, the number of professional editing features is quite impressive. Insert editing, video insert, audio insert editing, frame-by-frame advance on the remote and on the unit itself, improved picture quality with the Beta 1 super high band speed, just to name a few. And I think another important reason, well, is the nostalgia. This brings us back to happier times of editing where everything wasn't so automated and so easy, and we actually had to work to create video productions. If I'm missing some other reasons why people love their Betamaxes, specifically the SL-HF1000 Dream Machine, please let me know in the comments section because I may have missed a few. Well, if you like what you saw, if you learned a little bit, please like, subscribe, feel free to comment, I do answer, and we'll see you in the next video.